Hello there, spring is finally here, but we're going to start this video today by taking a look at the weather over winter, in particular the rainfall. So this is a rainfall anomaly for December, and these blue colours indicating much wetter than average conditions, particularly in southeastern parts of the UK and across western coastlines as well. A few places in the white colours here indicating closer to average rainfall, but generally a wetter than average month for December. Now, as we look towards January, more of those white colours extending across the map, indicating closer to average amounts of rainfall. But still, we've got those blue colours, particularly in Western Scotland, indicating wetter than average conditions. Although on this map, we have got a few of the brown colours, indicating drier than average conditions in Eastern England and Eastern Scotland, and a few other places as well. So out of the 3 months, generally the driest, but still very wet for some places. Now, it'll be no surprises to any of you how wet February has been, and you can see blue colours across much of the map, so above average rainfall amounts for most places, and in fact it has been the wettest February on record, so a very wet month, with some places shown by these pink colours having 4 times the average amount of rainfall that they would normally see in February. And indeed this has brought a lot of impacts across the UK, widespread flooding for places as well, and also affecting the soil moisture content as you would expect. So this is the soil moisture index, and these blue colours across the chart here indicate quite high soil moisture content. So the soils are very saturated and they have little capacity to take in any further rainfall. So really quite wet, and that's why we've seen so much widespread flooding, and also there have been delays to farming across the UK as well, in particular lifting sugar beet as the ground has been just too wet to get out on. Now let's take a look at the forecast for the next few days. This is the jet stream, so the wind's high up in the atmosphere. Currently the jet stream is just to the south of the UK, so we're in the northern part, the cooler part. And as we head through the next few days, remaining in this cooler air with the jet stream to the south, generally steering areas of low pressure to the south. However, as we go through the next few days, the jet stream generally meandering northwards. Still a few ridges and a few troughs in the jet stream, so indicating a few drier than average, some brighter days, but before the next area of low pressure is pushed in by that trough. Now let's take a look at Wednesday. Low pressure in the southwest at first, but a ridge of high pressure over eastern parts. So this will bring a widespread frost to many places in the east, but generally a largely dry and bright start, although a few mist and fog patches are possible too. However, as we head through Wednesday, this area of low pressure will track across southern parts, so bringing spells of rain and occasionally a few gustier winds to some places as well on Wednesday, particularly in southern parts. Meanwhile, northern parts generally staying a little bit drier with just a few showers. Now there's a lot of uncertainty associated with the low pressure on Wednesday, and you can see here this is the 24-hour rainfall accumulation shown in millimetres. And this just shows the northern extent of where that low pressure will go, where the northern extent of the rain will be, shown here and here, just seeing how far that rain will head north. And it's very different between these 4 different models, showing that there's a lot of uncertainty between how things will go tomorrow. Not only uncertainty in the location of the rain, but also in the amounts, with some green colours indicating quite large amounts of rain here, but some maps like this showing the blue colours, so generally not as much rain. So still quite a lot of uncertainty in the forecast for Wednesday, and definitely one to keep an eye on. As we look towards Thursday, we'll have the low pressure that we saw on Wednesday slowly clearing eastwards throughout the day, as so, and then another low pressure bringing into western parts, bringing some rain here, but generally much of the UK staying dull, quite murky for most of the day, with the best of any brightness building in later on. A few risk of frost patches in the north at first. Then as we go into Friday, this area of low pressure will bring patchy rain across the UK for much of the day on Friday. Heading into Saturday, there is a chance that a ridge of high pressure might briefly build in ahead of this front, pushing another area of rain across the UK on Saturday. But the timing of this front is a bit uncertain at the moment as well. Many of the models bring this area of rain in a lot sooner than this model is showing. So don't be surprised if you see a bit more rain on Saturday than is shown here. Now, if you ever need help in situations like these with very uncertain forecasts, the best people to talk to are our forecasters. They're in the office from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. every day, and the number to call is 09065 777675, and we'll be happy to talk to you. Now let's have a look at the following week. So the start of next week, it looks like we'll have high pressure generally to the south and a bit of a northwest-southeast split. So with that high pressure to the south, generally keeping southeastern parts drier, brighter. We'll still see some rain at times, but generally fairly light, fairly patchy. However, further northwest, areas of low pressure will bring showers, spells of rain to these parts of the UK, so it will be quite wet here. Towards the second part of next week, looks like it will become more unsettled, more dominated by low pressure. We'll have areas of low pressure bringing fronts across the UK, so spells of rain and windy conditions expected by the end of next week too. Now let's have a look at the monthly forecast. This is just really summarising what we've seen in the last couple of slides, showing that lower than average pressure across really much of northern Europe during this week, so bringing unsettled conditions, spells of rain and so on, whereas the high pressure generally out to the far east and down in the southwest as well, where we will expect to see those drier conditions. But you might remember from previous videos, this is not what we were expecting for week 2. In fact, last week's video, we were expecting an area of high pressure to build in and bring us more settled conditions. And in fact, even in the previous week's video as well, showing that an area of high pressure was likely to build. However, things have just remained unsettled, and it's worth noting that this trend in our monthly forecast is trying to build high pressure in, but it just keeps pushing it further back. So keep that in mind as we go through the next few slides. However, with low pressure dominating across much of northern Europe for week 2, we can see those green colours here indicating wetter than average conditions for most places, with only a few areas of drier than average conditions in the east and the southwest down here. Looking at the temperatures as well, you can see higher than average temperatures across much of Europe, particularly in the east, as has been the story for so many weeks now. And in fact, Moscow has had its mildest winter on record, and the first time it's recorded an average temperature of above 0 Celsius during winter. So really highlighting how mild it has been over here. Generally, though, over Western Europe, closer to normal, closer to average, with a few lower than average temperatures over here, generally indicating some possibility for spells of cooler air. Now, as we head into week 3, generally high pressure is trying to build, but remember what we said in previous slides about the tendency of the model to do this. So although it's a good sign that high pressure is trying to build in once again, it's still a little bit uncertain. However, if this does come off, we're looking at drier conditions across much of Europe, but still a few wetter conditions in the west where that low pressure still brings a few spells of rain. However, that high pressure keeping things drier over here. Now, as we look at the temperatures as well, still much of the same story, continuing to be warmer than average over here, while still milder than average across Western Europe as well, but generally not as much so. Now, as we look at week 4, high pressure still trying to build, and generally that will keep things more settled. As you can see, drier than average conditions across much of Europe, with only a few places remaining in those wetter than average conditions. So there are still signals for high pressure to build and for things to become drier, but quite a lot of uncertainty with that. Temperatures remaining much of the same, with the highest above average temperatures in the east, but generally most western parts close to or above average as well. So let's take a look at what we can expect for the next month or so. So it will be rather changeable for the rest of this week. Some frost at times, but also spells of rain and some winds likely at times too. Towards the start of next week, we're looking at a bit of a northwest-southeast split. So southeastern parts generally staying drier and brighter, while northwestern parts will be windier and rainier. Then turning more unsettled towards the end of the following week, with spells of rain and breezy conditions likely at times. As we mentioned, there are a few signs of more settled weather towards the end of March, but as we were saying, the confidence in this is quite low. So the best thing to do is stay tuned to our forecasts by following us on social media. Thanks for watching.